everybody, my name is Tanya and welcome to another On My Shelf video. So several months ago now I did an On My Shelf video for the bookshelves that are in my front passage. I had intended to go back and do another one of those and it just never happened. So now that I have got 4 new bookshelves in this spare room here, I thought it was about time to do another round of On My Shelf videos. So a couple of weeks ago I put out a video asking for some coordinates and a lot of you responded, so thank you so much for that. I've got now 20 coordinates from that video plus one from my old video several months ago that I have bought for this one as well, so that gives me 21 total coordinates to do with. I think I'm going to split this into 3 videos of 7, so welcome to part 1. So this setup is being very tantalising. I've only given you a glimpse of certain areas of the shelves. As I said, there are 4 bookshelves here, there are 6 shelves on each. There are still some gaps in here that I haven't quite filled, and I'm sure there'll be some shuffling around before I'm entirely happy with them. But I thought, as a way of getting a little bit more of a glimpse into my collection, we would do some more On My Shelves. So On My Shelf was originally created by Ian Broome, and I will leave links to his original video down in the description. Basically, I've got coordinates for books on my shelves, and I've got to talk a little bit about each book, maybe the story of how I got them, or something in particular about the book if it strikes me. I haven't looked what the coordinates are. A couple of them I do know what it's going to be, but basically I haven't looked, for the majority of these, what the books are going to be, so it's going to be a surprise for me too. So without further ado, let's get into it. So as I mentioned, I have a coordinate left over from my first On My Shelf video that I posted several months ago, and that was from Annette from Book Door Week, and that was Shelf 14, Book 10. So Shelf 14 Book 10 is actually out of a box set, and this is the cloth bound set that I have of The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings. This is the 3rd book in the trilogy The Return of the King, and this is my favourite cover of the set. I think this is absolutely beautiful with the tree of Gondor there. I think it's just stunning. It's been way too long since I've read these books. I absolutely adore them, and I'm dying to have a reread, which I will have to work out soon. That's the reason I bought this particular one. It's because I couldn't help it, because the set is so pretty. It is a favourite, so I know I'm going to read it many times. Also, the books that I've shown on my channel a few times, the covers that are designed by Tolkien, they're actually my mother's copies that myself and my father bought her for Christmas one year, so technically they're her copies, and I need to have my own copies of these. So when I spotted this beautiful set that had been released, I picked those up because the next set of coordinates comes from Eleanor Reads Books, and that is 515. And then there's Birdsong by Sebastian Faulks in one of the vintage Red Spine editions. I haven't read this yet. I would really like to get to it at some point, but it hasn't happened. I don't really know all that much about this, except in part at least it is a war novel, and I have heard really great things about it. Probably the main reason that I purchased this is because it's on the 1000 Books You Must Read Before You Die list, and it was a popular one from that list, and I bought it. The next set of coordinates comes from Juliana Jenkins, and that is Shelf 3, Book 11. And then is Misery by Stephen King. Now you'll notice that this is probably a little bit more beat up than a lot of the books on my shelves. I do actually own some secondhand editions. It does happen. I've just made the choice to display a lot of my more attractive covers, particularly in the front bookcase. So you probably haven't seen the fact that I own some. Also, as I've said before, dust makes me sneeze, so secondhand books in particular are more likely to have dust in them, so I'm not so fond of secondhand editions because of that. However, this copy actually does have an interesting story behind it. So I've not read this one. I've read a couple of Stephen King, but I've not read this one. So the story behind this one, my father found a suitcase on the side of the road, a suitcase that had fallen off somebody's vehicle, we assume, and he was getting in touch with them, trying to track down who this person was from the tags on the side, to let them know that they lost the suitcase. It turned out they were just taking it to an op shop or to the tip or something to get rid of it, and they didn't want it back. And as it turned out, the suitcase was entirely full of books, and my mother and I kind of perked up our ears at this point and went, books, we'll have it. So we went through the suitcase kind of pulling out things that we were interested in. There was a lot of good stuff in there actually. Most of it is secondhand, but there were some good additions in there. Quite a few things that we kept from the suitcase. We didn't keep everything, but this was one of them. And can we just at this cover, because I have a hard time imagining this role not as Kathy Bates, but this cover is terrifying. The next coordinate comes from Trish Miles and is Shelf 5, Book 13. That is Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card. This I have read and really enjoyed. I actually listened to the audiobook of it, which I thought was fantastic. I know there's a lot of controversy about Orson Scott Card as a man as opposed to his writing. I tend to remove my experience of reading this from him, so I do definitely appreciate this as a book, if I don't appreciate Orson Scott Card as a person. And so I'm able to enjoy the book separate from the man, and the book itself I really enjoyed. This one would have been on my radar because it was on the 25 books to read before 25 list that I did complete, and I have spoken about this briefly in a couple of videos. This is something that I completed prior to BookTube, and I'm currently working on a 30 before 30 list. I'm not sure I get why I have to read it before the age of 25, what the significance of that is, but I thought it was a fantastic read. The next coordinate is from Jane from Yes Miss Jane, and it sends me off in that direction, and that's shelf 21, book 8. And so that is The Shadow in the North, which is the second book in the Sally Lockhart series by Philip Pullman. I've only read the first book in this series, Ruby and the Smoke, and I have really meant to go back and read the rest of the series. It just hasn't happened, as a lot of things don't happen when it comes to reading things soon. But I would have purchased these. I can't remember whether I had actually read his Dark Materials before purchasing these, or whether I'd just been interested in Philip Pullman because of those, and when I saw these in these covers I fell in love with them and bought them too. As I said, I read the first book in this series, The Ruby and the Smoke, and I really enjoyed it. Actually, I thought it was a lot of fun. It follows the character of Sally Lockhart, who kind of gets caught up in mysteries, and really enjoyed that. They're set in late 1800s London, which I found really interesting as well, especially since we're following a kind of spunky female character. And now that these are out of storage and I have more easy access to them, hopefully I will be able to get to them soon, because they're not very long. They're technically YA and a lot of fun. The next set of coordinates comes from Inhert, and hopefully I'm saying that correctly, and that is shelf 11, book 11. And that is We Can Remember It For You Wholesale by Philip K. Dick. So those of you who watched my bookshelf tour of the bookshelves that are in my front passage will have already seen this. I did actually have this on the shelves out there, but after filming that bookshelf tour, as happens, I rearranged things slightly and they lost their spot on those shelves, so I've put them on these ones. This one is the 5th in the 5 volumes of Philip K. Dick short stories, and I've only read the one story from this, I think the title story, We Can Remember It For You Wholesale, and this is the main reason that I was interested in this particular collection. We Can Remember It For You Wholesale is actually the inspiration for the film's Total Recall. I've only seen the original with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I haven't seen the modern adaptation of it, but I really enjoy Total Recall with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I think it's such kind of over-the-top fun. So I was interested to read the original inspiration for this, which is just a short story. There are quite a few Philip K. Dick short stories that have been expanded to become movies. Another one is The Adjustment Bureau. I think it was called The Adjustment Team. I'm not quite sure anymore, but that became the movie starring Matt Damon and Emily Blunt. Is that right? It's been a long time since I've seen that movie, but I really enjoyed Joanne Doyle's Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick, so I went on and purchased his collected short stories, and one day I'm hoping to read them all. Like I said, I've only kind of read a couple out of different collections for ones that I watch movies based on them, but one day. And the last coordinate for this video is from Dump for Stump, and that is shelf 2, book 3. And that is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier in the gorgeous Virago Modern Classic Designer Editions. I've only recently got my hands on this one, and it's absolutely stunning. I have read Rebecca. I read it kind of in a period of under 24 hours. I just kind of inhaled it. I thought it was fantastic. Really enjoyed it. I've since gone on and read My Cousin Rachel by Daphne du Maurier, and really want to read some more of her work. But Rebecca is just a masterpiece. That's the reason I bought this one. Well, one, I love the book so much I wanted to have a nice copy. I did have another copy that's quite old and unfortunately makes me sneeze, so I'm gonna have to give those ones up. But to have this lovely new edition that is just beautiful, I'm very happy. And this is definitely something that I'm going to be rereading many times over the years. That were the first 7 coordinates that I received. Again, thank you to everybody who gave me coordinates for these videos. If your one wasn't in this one, it will be coming soon. If you've got any questions about any of the books I've shown, or any of the ones that you can see around me here in the little glimpse that I'm allowing you, please let me know. As always, thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!